am here with two of the Chicago's finest firefighters, but also cast members on Chicago Fire. Now, we have spoken to, as I said prior to starting, pretty much everybody on the show at one point or another who is a current cast member or who has left. Miranda Mayo was our first back in 2020 when the world fell apart. And one of the things that was interesting about this conversation was I learned in chatting with her that what these folks do on the show, it's all very real. It's like the trucks, the equipment, the cold weather, like down to you having, I was told, stunt coordinators from like The Dark Knight and all these crazy things. Thank you both for your time. It's great to meet you, and I'm excited to chat with you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for
Thanks for
having
having
us.
us, Brett.
Well, so we have with us respectively Tony and Capp from Chicago Fire. Now, I was looking at your IMDb and one of the things that fascinates me is that you both are firefighters. But I was going back and trying to remember what's
Brett,
that?
out of respect to the Chicago Fire Department, not correcting you in any way. I was not a firefighter.
Okay.
Tony was in real life, or Tony
To-
is in real life. Was,
so
yeah,
he is. Okay. So,
yeah.
well, you're very convincing. So let's start with the fact that when the show started, we saw you guys in scenes and in episodes, but now I feel like it has progressed to you're very active in the show and you have lots of storylines and things going on. We'll start with whoever wants to jump in first. How did you each book the role on the show? Like, what was the impetus for you becoming involved in becoming a cast member?
Tony, tell him yours first,
Yeah, Tony, let's start with you
and then
since you.
tell him yours, and then I'll go into day one. But tell him your story.
Okay. I'm well, I just retired in November, last November. I'll be retired for a year this November from the Chicago Fire Department. I was on a squad company. One of my friends that I grew up with,
Squad means rescue squad, as in he's actually going in and rescuing. He's the
Yes.
one. He's the one going in to rescue people. Go ahead, Tony. I won't interrupt.
so
I'll only
no,
interrupt two more times. Two more
you're
times.
fine. You're fine. So, a guy I work with, he was a friend of mine I grew up with, really wanted to try and be on the show. So he asked me to go with him um, down to they had an open casting call for extras. And, we went through, did the whole thing, and they called me and asked me if I wanted to. It's a funny story because it was my little sister's birthday and we were going to dinner and I got a phone call and I wasn't going to answer my phone and my mom was like, answer your phone. So I answered my phone and it's a lady that it's like Anthony and there's only like one or two people in the world that call me Anthony.
That's true.
So she just started saying all these pleasantries to me, like how much she liked me, how I looked, and all this stuff. And our technical advisor, Steve Chikarotis, a long time ago, who was also a Chicago firefighter, they pulled a prank on him and told him they bought him an airline ticket, had a limousine pick him up, bring him to the airport, and then they told him, it was a prank. So I thought somebody was pranking me. So we just went back and forth, and she told me to come in on a day, and I went in, and
And he pulled a Brad Pitt because correct me if I'm wrong, Brett. Didn't Brad Pitt go in with a friend to audition, and he ended up becoming
Yes,
Brad
that
Pitt?
is true. And then he
You pulled a Brad
started,
Pitt.
you did pull a Brad Pitt.
Totally pulled a Brad Pitt. Brett, I also want to commend you. That's probably the longest I've heard Tony talking about, 13 years. So well done.
I appreciate that, Randy.
So he's coming into work, but here's how cool Tony is. He's still a Chicago firefighter. They do 24 hours on and then 48 hours off, 24 on, 40. So he was doing this work while being a real, everyday hero. And so first day of the pilot, first scene, we're on the apparatus floor. We're at the actual fire station, and then they they put me next to this extra who happens to be Tony. And he goes, man, I got to tell you, what'd you say? You're like, dude, I'm nervous as hell. I don't know what I'm doing. I
I
was
hope
like,
I don't ruin. I hope I don't
yeah,
blow this.
hope I don't blow this. I go, dude, you're more the real thing than any of us. It's like you're the last one that would blow this. Just like you're good. But we were standing right next to each other on the first shot of the whole series.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
so fascinating. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I I love watching you guys because you really just add to all of it's just so fun to watch. So that's very cool. So I want to ask a follow-up question to that. So once you get the job and you're still an active firefighter, are you also consulting with scenes and things too, or are you just there, you're being a firefighter and then you're coming to your call and you're working filming these scenes, because both of your characters have progressively grown on the show, becoming given more responsibility, as they would say, and more lines and more backstories and sort of getting to know who you guys are.
Yeah, no, it's as far as technical advising, yes, of course, everybody asks me questions. Mostly, um, you know, the people I work with. We have a guy, Steve Chikarotis, who was the technical advisor for Backdraft. He's aces. He is our technical advisor. But yes, if he's not there, yes, they kind of talk to me about stuff, things like that. But mostly, it was kind of a good thing because, say Taylor, Jesse, whoever had questions, David, they would ask and, like, will we do this? How will we do it? So, yes, I would help them. But as far as the big scope, that was Chick, and he does a great job of it.
Yeah. Well, Randy, let's talk about you. How did you get the job? Like, what was the impetus for you getting booked on the show? And I mean,
I
it's
do,
been a fun ride for both of you for sure.
no, I hear. I'll tell you about my audition because actually on the way to the audition at Universal, I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and all of a sudden we were talking, and all of a sudden this loud car goes by, and I was like, God, I think a race car or something just went by. But then the sound kept following me, and I was realized I basically dropped my muffler on the way to the Chicago Fire audition.
Oh
And
no.
so and so I'm pulling up to the gate like blug 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 blug, and they're like, yeah, you can park way over here or whatever. But I was lucky enough where I had known some of the original producer creators, whatever. Like I'd been in LA for 14 years, doing the deal, doing auditions and doing shows and so on. And I'd known a few of them, so that was what got me in the door. So I was kind of lucky that way. But then did the audition. I think I was reading Otis's part, and and then even in that one, Dick Wolf was in that one. He's like, "Are you a real firefighter?" Or made a comment like that, which I was like, "No, but that's the best compliment you can give me for this audition." So, but then everything worked out, and was able to get a call, and we're next thing you know, we're filming,
And here we are. How many seasons in are we now? I think we're like reaching bonanza numbers. It's like 13, 12 or 13, I would say.
filming the 13th. That's correct.
Wow. So you both get this job one way or another, and now you're here. When you started out, obviously you've become series regulars. Now we see you pretty much in every episode. This most recent one, you're sharing scenes with Joe Manoso, who is also a former guest, and you're just having these normal conversations. But when you started out, did you know or have any idea, either one of you, that it would continue on this long, or has it just been a season by season or an episode by episode basis, how it generally works, where they just continue to invite you back? Tony, we'll start with you.
Um, well, yeah, I had no idea about this business at all. I um, just kind of kept my head down and did what they asked me to do. And kind of grew on you. Our technical advisor, Rick Lefevre, his big thing is, like, hey, we got to get 5 years to be syndicated. That's a long way away, and just slowly chip away. And to this day, we still joke about it, that we talked about this a long time ago. Because we're filming 13 right now, so it's a great thing. And I mean, from top to bottom, everybody we work with is just great people, and cast, crew, hardworking, and
And that's all true. And Tony couldn't have been better. couldn't have been better. But wait, I was going to burn you so bad, but I already forgot what I was going to say. But no, hey, when we learned about getting renewed for a second season, we were in a hospital scene. Actually, I think it might have been with Jesse Ballin. Is it Ballin? Um, but I remember it's like Andrea Newman, who's the showrunner now. She was there, and she was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, yeah, I'll tell them. Hey, you guys, we got a second season." I'm telling Tony a little bit. You're that day, you're like, who cares? Like, what's the deal? It's like, no, dude, we're gonna keep working. Like, this is a good thing. He had his fireman job to go to, that firefighter job. But I was extremely excited. But he quickly picked up on it. But yeah, it's been great. It's been absolutely
Yeah,
great.
it's been fun, as I said at the beginning, to watch your characters grow and to have interactions with all these cast members. I always say to everybody I get to talk to, whether it's fire, med, PD, I've been invested in these shows since the beginning. And like I will just die when they end because it just gives me there's something comforting about the shows, even though you have the high drama, the high intensity. It's a very warming show. So I love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, yes.
I really do. Like, I have, I don't know, a couple episodes right now that I haven't been able to watch, but it's interesting. And I always get bummed, when hiatuses happen. So, when you're not working on the show, are you watching and seeing what everybody else is doing? Or are you just kind of like, I'm not in this episode? I think you all are in pretty much every episode, though, in one way, shape, or form, right? Whether it's a scene with one of the other cast members or you're just there. Um,
That's us. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I think we're in about every episode, and I think speaking for Tony as well, we'd probably watch every episode of Fire. Uh, Not speaking for Tony, I'd say I was a good boy in the beginning because I thought this usually never happens where you have a sister shows or whatever. And I did watch like Fire and PD for the first season or two, whatever. But then whatever, life gets in the way a little bit. But it's always so great to see, when we bump into those guys when we have crossovers. It's so much fun seeing those guys because
yeah, I'm a
we all
huge
know we're in
fan of the
that family.
crossovers. I would like
Yeah.
to see. I know we've talked to the showrunners on every show, and of course, I always joke a little bit about that, but it's hard to do, I would imagine. But it's nice when one of you or somebody else. But now recently, you've had a couple new people coming in on the PD side that are sort of, there. It's always interesting when you go do a hospital scene. I'm always hoping to see somebody pop up, but I know it, there's a lot more to it than that. I'm interested to know, I want to ask you, Tony, for you, having just retired, and now this is your full-time gig, yes? Or
Yeah,
this is it for you? So you're like,
yeah.
you've been invested already, obviously, but now you're like in for sure. So
And Brett, he's changed. He's changed. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
well, I would imagine like when you're a firefighter and you're literally you're a hero and you're doing this for years and years and years, decades, and then you like Hollywood comes knocking. Um, I would like to know, like, was there just a little bit of maybe internal resistance about it? Like, I don't know, this is another show about a, fire, like not cornering the witness, but I am curious because you have done this professionally, like for several years. What was kind of you alluded to it a little bit, but I want to dig in a little bit more and
Well,
kind of
they
hear.
Yeah, I'd
okay.
like to hear this too.
Well, here's a funny story. Um, when we got picked up from the pilot, they called me and asked me to come back. And we filmed one episode, but it was crazy because I just happened to be on furlough during that time, so I was off during the whole filming of it. But like you'd be there all day, and they'd be like, "Oh, we'll call you in an hour." I'm like, "It's midnight. What do you mean you're going to call me in an hour?" You know what I mean? So when they called me and asked me to come back, I was like, "Nah, I'm good."
Okay.
And they were like, "Well, no, no, we really want you to come back." Blah 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 blah. And I was like, "No," I'm like, I have another job, and it was like I can't come to work and work all day, and then you tell me you're going to call me in an hour or whatever, and tell me if I'm working tomorrow or not. I can't operate that way. And they were great. They were like, "No, we're gonna, we'll take care of it. We'll get you your days as soon as possible. All that stuff." So yeah, I did come back, and when I did come back, we were filming in the firehouse, and Derek and Michael approached me and started talking to me, and they asked me about where I was assigned, and I told them, and they were like, "Oh, too bad you weren't there because we rode there." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I was there," and they were like, "No, you weren't." So, long story short, we did have a fire that day, and then we went and got Italian ice at this Italian ice place that was right down the street from the fire. And they were like, "Oh, why didn't you talk to us?" I'm like, "I didn't know you." So, that's how I got acquainted with them. And, they hung, because they hung at our firehouse. They hung at a bunch of firehouses in the city getting notes and, taking, surveying the land. And they did a great job of writing and all that of what we do and how we act at the firehouse. So, yeah, it was just, it was like a crazy thing. And after I came back, I was like, well, we're here. Let's, see where this goes. And, I just been riding it out. So,
It's been so fun.
And
I can't
and I was
overstate
gonna say,
it.
real quick, Brett, I was gonna say to put the cherry on top, cutting to the chase. He told me before that if we the actors were a bunch of a-holes, he wouldn't have done this for a
oh,
living.
yeah. Well, see,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I
I
don't
think that's
blame
pretty
him. I don't
standard
blame him.
across the board for
Yeah, yeah,
most.
yeah.
I've been doing this for like 6 years and talked to different anybody and everybody, and that is the common theme. You want it, obviously, good story. Money is important, but like your coworkers are important. And Miranda said that when we spoke to her several years ago, like you just want to be with good people, and the cast changes and things come in and come out, but very cool stuff. I will say, when you mentioned local spots, I lived in Chicago for a while. Gene and Jude's, you guys had a line about that. I love their hot dogs. You got
Yeah.
to put the fries on top. Lou Malnati's, Pink Pig. I mean, all these places that you guys allude to, I've been to, a couple more questions here. I think because, of your involvement and your levels, for you, Randy, I would ask when you're filming a scene and you're on location somewhere in Chicago, you're obviously there. I mean,
Hmm.
there's so many recognizable landmarks. So when you're filming a scene, it takes several hours, but let's say it's just a fire accident scene that you both are at. Like, I would imagine, do you have a lot of fans that sort of can figure out where you're going to be?
I think
If
there's
you
like,
knew how
yeah,
many blogs were online about
yeah.
your filming locations, I could tell you right now that they're probably posting,
Yes,
where you're going
I
to
think
be
there's
next.
websites and so on, which makes it helpful for folks that, and Tony knows this too. Like, you go there and you'll see groups, and when we can break away in between lunch or whatever, or when we're leaving, we go over there and visit them. And there's folks that come over from Europe, and I was like, "Did you come here to Chicago?" Like, and they're like, "Yes," and you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, it's very weird, but yeah, there's tons of sites, and the fans are there. We do a pretty good job. I should probably get over there more than I do, but sometimes we're like rushing off and you don't want to keep someone or whatever. But yeah, no, we take some quick pictures, but to hear the stories. And actually, Brett, both Tony and I, want to thank you because we were saying the show, you're invested in it, and we do
Oh,
appreciate it. And
so much
folks,
invested.
right, but you're alluding it to too, where it's like, I don't think if we didn't love each other, and it is love, if we didn't love each other as much as we do, like in real life when the cameras are off, I don't think it would play as well. I mean,
Right.
I actually think that's been the main success of the show is that the creators, Tony mentioned Michael and Derek, like Derek Hass and Michael Brandt, who were the original creators with and talking with Chick and going to the firehouses, but they did such a good job bringing the original cast and the people together that like it was a good group. Eamon's been around for a while. David's been around for a while. David Ogberg, Eamon Walker, where they said you guys, they both had struck lightning in the bottle once. Eamon was like, I don't think I'd ever find it twice, but it's like this is you guys, we need to enjoy this because like we all hang out with each other and so on when the cameras aren't rolling when we can, but it's not always that way on every show. And so
No.
we're
Well,
very lucky.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
I
think
would
and I
say
think
for
it
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that it kind of just, each show is different, but very cool. Well, last question, are you still currently filming or are you on a little bit of break right now? Um, I know
No,
spoilers, obviously.
no. Here's why I'm laughing was because we just had a schedule change maybe 24 hours ago, and Tony and I, not to talk too much, but we had today off originally, and we were supposed to work tomorrow, but one of the scenes from tomorrow got pushed to the next week when we're working, and so I was like, "Ooh, I got a 2 day weekend or whatever." So actually, I flew home. When I'm not working, I fly back to Wichita, Kansas,
Oh, I'm
and
from
where my
Wichita, born and raised.
what? Dude,
Born and
get
raised.
Tony. Every universe revolves around Kansas, baby. Universe
I'm not
revolves
buying
around
it.
Kansas.
Not buying it.
Yeah, I'm from
ICT,
Wichita, born and raised.
ICT. So Winfield, Kansas is where I could go
Okay.
back and forth. Because when this started 13 years ago, my wife we still had 3 kids around the house. Like now we're empty nesters or whatever, but it's like we're soon. She's got one more year of teaching, retirement, blah blah blah. But yeah. So to answer your question, we are still filming. Our cast and crew is still working hard today as we speak. Yet Tony's out golfing and getting his big hand in front of the screen. And
Somebody keeps texting me.
oh, is that a popular guy now? See,
Well, look at
Hollywood,
me.
popular
Big shot.
guy.
I'm a
I
big
love
um,
shot.
it. You guys are the best.
but yes, so still working. Tony and I work back Monday, but yeah, I think we're on episode. We're filming 9 right now, and I
Yeah,
think
we go to May.
what?
We'll film till May. We're on 9. We're filming 9.
Yeah, we're filming 9. I think 5 aired yesterday.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's like you guys are like already catching up because come every November or so on, you'll get one of those where it's like, in 3 weeks we'll be back, and you're like, 3 weeks? What the heck? And it's like you already caught up to our production. Like we don't have one ready.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
happens
No, it's like
quickly.
generally like run and gun, like filming one week and then airing the next. And
Yeah.
you add the long days and hours and then reshoots and all the other stuff, any ADR. Like, it takes a long time to get an episode out. For
You know
24
it,
minutes.
Brett, Wichita boy. You know it. You know
Yeah,
it.
born and raised. Spent a lot of time in Winfield. Well, congratulations to both of you. This has been such an honor. I really do mean it. I'm so excited that we were able to get you both on, and I can't wait to see what happens. I have an episode or two waiting in my DVR. I just
Awesome.
dated myself streaming,
I hear you.
but
Honor for us to be on as well. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
yeah,
Thank
and
you
stay
very much.
warm in the cold weather and the Chicago weather. It will put hair on your chest, as Leroy
Dude.
Hawkins says.
Yes, it will. He's right.
Um, and I always tease him. I'm like, they don't dress you guys very warm. And he's like, I know, but we got to look good for
Not
TV.
PD, not PD. They got to look good, but we have our whole bunker, coats and bunker uniforms on, so
Yes.
we get it a little better than they do.
Yeah, that's what Miranda even, everybody from Fire's like, the PD guys, I feel bad for them because they have these, or Jason Begay always is like, it's these tight little
Yep.
light jackets, maybe some gloves, maybe some earmuffs, but
Right.
it's like a thing that they have to do,
Yes.
because it's
Oh,
PD.
yeah.
But
Right. But we got to see
awesome.
Jason's body. Jason's body.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Well,
Right,
thank you
Tone?
both. Yeah. Tony's like, yeah, sure. No comment.
No,
Um,
this is every day with him, so it's okay.
yeah, I feel like your relationship here is just like it is on the show, which I think is really cool. Like it's very similar. So,
It is. It is.
it makes
I
sense.
don't see it that way. Interesting. I'll think about that. I'll think about that.
Yes. Well, congratulations to both of you on 13 seasons. This is
Thank you, Brett.
crazy. We'll see each other again soon. And I appreciate both of your time, taking time on your day off to chat with me. And yeah, thank you so much. I really do mean it.
You're the
Thank you so
best.
much,
Thank
Brett.
you,
Yeah,
Brett.
this was a blast. Thank you so much, bud.
Absolutely.